We understand an upside-down world. But they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day, and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more, because we have an appointment with destiny.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of San Diego Prep Insider. I have got a very special guest for you because he and I have been saying that we will get back to this post-COVID for almost a whole season now, and I admittedly took on more than I could chew this season with other jobs and stuff like that. So I let him down. Maybe I still haven't learned how to pronounce his name. Maybe I just recently found out that his kid was named after him. But hey, look, we're getting there. It's Tom Bergeron. What's up, Tom Bergeron? Aaron Burgin, aka full-time the Hoops himself.
Yeah, man, still isn't got it right. It's Aaron Burgin.
No, it's not. And I'm Chris Pedersen to Joe Hines. Yeah, like we're all
we all got our aliases.
We all got our. I'm also Tommy. Legit, I will throw this out.
Wow.
And I don't know if this is me admitting to a crime. I don't think this is technically a crime, but for 2 seasons now, just out of curiosity to see if anybody actually checks, I've used Tommy's media credential. Nobody's looked close enough to say, that's not you.
Don't say that out loud.
I don't think any of the AARP members that work for Elite Security are going to necessarily step up and cause me much grief. Look, hey, if
you all look the same.
Look, if West Hills could turn in their schedule the way they did, I can show up to anything I want. Okay, yes. Welcome to the basketball playoffs. We got a lot. We got a ton. There are 6 divisions. There are what I think are some of the most interesting plot lines in actual, like, not just recent bias history, because like COVID kind of threw off some of our memory of things, but I think that Victory Christian is big picture interesting per like the last 10 years. We haven't had a ton of small schools, and I'm curious, is this a flash in the pan, or is this are they more foothills, or are they we're figuring them out. Yeah. We've got, this will be the Mikey Williams year to see if he can get the Open Division title and if he can be crowned championship, sail off into the sunset, or if Wayne McKinney is truly a better basketball player. We've got LCC I thought that LCC, well, I thought LCC was going to drop down to the D1 and just house a D1 title, but they're like a 5 seed, and that's not even close to dropping out of D1.
Strength of schedule matters.
Lincoln, if they could be basketball champs the same year as football champs, that is just great for that school in general to like, let's get all of the Lincoln winning done and then never have to talk about them ever again. No, we got a lot. So do you want to go 5 to open as we traditionally have, or would you like to go open to 5?
Let's go 5 to open.
Okay, let's go 5 to open. In the Division 5 bracket, as I filibuster to pull it up, we have a play-in game that's going to happen most likely. But most likely it will happen prior to any of you actually seeing this podcast. Yeah. So we will do this as intelligently and coherently as we can.
Yeah.
With a little bit of we'll take a guess.
Yeah.
This, I promise, won't be as comical as when I predicted Saints to beat Foothills in one of our pre-taped segments for the final, the Tayshaun Cherry final. Yeah. But yeah, so in the Division 5, starting with the 1 seed, Rock Academy, they will be the team that takes on the winner. Yep. They are the favorites, right? There's no, so you have a little bit of that, but at least in this 16 versus 1 matchup,
clearly the favorite.
You have confidence in the Rock getting through this one.
Yes.
What makes you do that little flinch? Who is is it right behind it? Are you saying that Valley Center is the 1-2 here?
I would say Valley Center's the favorite.
Okay, so we'll get then to the Valley Center matchup. I like just working top to bottom on these brackets. So assuming that Rock Academy takes on whoever, you are most likely saying they're in through to the quarters.
Yes.
They are. There is no Cinderella coming out of High Tech High Mesa and the San Diego Jewish Academy.
Not even in the realm of possibility, I don't think.
All right, let's talk Classical Academy San Pasquale then, because
this will be interesting.
This is an interesting game for both of these schools. They are bigger. Classical is a small school. San Pasquale is a bigger school. In terms of
SPA. Is,
that's SPA. Deal.
Yeah.
So both smaller schools then on that end. What do you like here?
You know, it's a really interesting matchup because I didn't realize the San Pasquale Academy was having such a good season until, you know, lo and behold,
until it was too late.
They're the 9th seed. Holy crap. Like, wow, that's crazy. Classical Academy, know a little bit more about them. I believe they just won the Ocean Division playoff championship game that no one cares about. So congrats to them.
Did they do that as a tournament this year? Because that popped up out of nowhere this year. Coastal League's doing tournaments.
Coastal, Pacific, and Ocean.
Let's go.
That whole conference had, you know, their postseason tournament. Again, none of the games counted on max preps. None of them helped your strength of schedule. And the only people that were excited about them were probably the players who probably weren't that excited about it, to be honest.
So what you're saying is they achieved about the same that the college postseason tournaments do. Great.
Much.
Cool.
Nice little CIT going on over there. But, you know, Classical Academy has a kid who's, you know, has been on my radar for a long time, Presley Briscotter. Back when he was in the class of 22, reclassified. He was considered one of the better shooters in that grade group, regardless of level. And then he decided to go to Classical, has hovered under everyone's radar since as a result of it. Flirted with transferring to Victory Christian, actually played in a couple of fall league games with them, played against San Isidro, and then the next day he was back at Classical Academy. I think...
Not going to question it. It happened. It happened the way it happened.
Yeah, it happened. So I like Classical in that matchup, just off the strength of them having a guy who actually could have played at a pretty high level regardless when he was in 9th grade. I think he is a high enough level kid to get them through this round. Not sure about that next.
Well, that's why we got another podcast. We'll be more sure about that after the next round. Next game we got is Horizon Prep, High Tech High North County. High Tech High, though, despite being the lower seed, they won their league, so they are hosting this game as a 12-5 game.
Yeah.
Those, historically, for me, are the hardest of all of the games to pontificate about because 12-5... Yeah, I know you can say, like, it's ripe for an upset. I love me some Hilltop at a 12 seed and whatever. But 12-5, you should think that the 5 can handle this with no problem. But a league championship, you know that they have at least something going there. Do you like Horizon Prep or High Tech High North County out of this first one?
I like Horizon out of this one. I think we have to get rid of that rule, though, that, like, only 1 through 4 are home game protected. And that, you know, if you're a 12 seed and you win your league, you get to host a home game. If you're a 12 seed, you're there for a reason. It's either you did not play a strong enough schedule or you did not win enough games. Just because you win a league shouldn't give you a right to host a home game if you're a 12, an 11, or even a 10 seed for that matter. I just don't see that. I think if you play, if you win games and you're in that 1 through 8, you should be able to host regardless of what, you know, a team did in their league.
I'm with you 100%. There needs not be another statement. Moving down, though, we've got Bayfront Charter, Del Lago Academy. Del Lago seems like they've had a pretty darn good season.
Really have.
And, you know, you can say that everything goes under the radar because there are only one person named Full-Time Hoops. And other than that, Maffey does his best but covers kind of sporadically the North County and then Saints. Prep Insider does an okay job. KOSI does an okay job. There's just so much more basketball than there is football or anything else like that.
And now suddenly you've got a Division 5 bracket with 16 teams.
Yeah,
so there's only 12 in the past.
So can we let's omit the euphemism of this team was under the radar. Everyone's vaguely slightly under the radar. So all right, great, cool. Sorry. So sorry for creating bulletin board material for you this season. But Del Lago, like, kind of a low-key good season.
They did.
I think that they, of anybody that's not Rock or Valley Center in this one, would be my, like, if you had to say you're going to take 1, 2, or the field, I might take the field because I like Del Lago to chug along, and maybe there's some other team, like maybe a a freak bounce goes in and the Rock is out, or someone like I like Del Lago is what I'm trying to say on this one. So I have them moving on handily over Bayfront for Charter.
I do too. Del Lago has a couple of kids who played, at least one who played at Orange Glen for 3 years. Laith Titua, he was a starter at Orange Glen as a junior and transferred. I think his mother works at Del Lago, so there was a little bit of that going on. And then of course, Del Lago's head coach is the former assistant coach over at Orange Glen. So he's able to get a couple of guys who probably would have gone to Orange Glen as freshmen over there as well. That saying that they've got guys who play at a much higher level than Division V basketball. So Bayfront should not be an issue.
On the other side of the bracket, so that was the side that will ultimately lead to, the Rock Academy is in the lead on that side. Bottom half of the bracket, we start with number 11 Chula taking on number 6 Santana. I'm assuming that this is chalk. That Santana is going to win this one. Yes,
I'm actually glad that both big schools were paired together in this game, because I've always chafed at the idea of these bigger schools, bigger enrollment, dropping all the way down to Division V and then just wreaking havoc.
What is Valley Center and El Cajon Valley's enrollment? Are they also what you would classify as big school?
I would say Valley Center to a lesser extent. But
these are for sure the two biggest schools.
Yes,
okay,
for sure.
Deal. So then El Cajon Valley being that next team that I talked about, they are the 14 seed. And
I've got Gompers on upset alert. Unfortunate.
Oh, you like El Cajon Valley for this? Wait, hold on. I got to be on. You like El Cajon Valley for this? Sorry, I'm manipulating it there a little bit for the Instagram reels. But okay, why? Why do you have Gompers on upset alert over under El Cajon Valley?
Common opponents. El Cajon Valley played Crawford, beat Crawford at the beginning of the year. Gompers played Crawford, was down 20 in that game. There's a difference in scheduling. Gompers plays in one of the lower leagues. El Cajon Valley gets to cut their teeth against Steel Canyon, El Cap, Santana, and all these teams pretty much, from January on. And I think that level of preparation really favors the larger school in this one.
I am always a little bit like razor's edge teetering of, does that prep the team or does that lead to some mental checkout?
I mean,
and some just drain of like, oh God, like I get it that we'll be fine in the playoffs, but like that's 20 games from now. We gotta go ahead and lose 13 of them. Like it's rough, but
it's true.
I like that you have El Cajon Valley as the potential upset there. Calipatria, the number 10 seed, is going to travel to take on High Tech High Chula Vista. Props to High Tech for hedging their bets and putting all of their schools in one bracket. Mathematically, you got to think eventually they end up winning.
Somebody's going to win one of these.
Because they're all, I know they're different schools, but they're all under the same High-Tech umbrella. So, yeah, like, this would be like, I feel like if Cathedral started some like, satellite campuses, then it's just like, look, we're going to win one eventually because of just process of elimination. But High-Tech High Chula or Calipatria, what do you like here?
I'm picking High-Tech High Chula Vista. A very study and contrast type game. Calipatria, I mean, they're like, it's the Lollipop Guild. They're really small. Like their starting center is 6 foot tall.
We thank you very much for watching our show for 6 years. It's been fun getting canceled now after
No.
that.
Let's rewind that. Let's just say, look. Let's say that
Lollipop Guild was wonderful contributing members to society.
Yes.
And very so. Do they sing pregame?
Probably not. Calipatria is very small. On the flip side, Chula Vista, really big school, like really big size for that school. Their starting center 6'6". Their starting power forward is 6'5". They bring a 6'7" kid off the bench. I mean, that's a lot of size.
That's disruption right there. That's something that other teams don't have in this bracket and can, with just their mere presence.
And here's the crazy thing: none of them are that team's best player. Their best player is Nick Farwell, a 6 foot guard who's built kind of, he's one of those big, stocky, strong guards who gets into the lane, finishes either hand. He's a lefty though. Really like his game. He impressed me when I watched him over at the Chula Vista Spartans tournament this year. The fact that they've got that type of guard with those type of bigs, that's just a matchup nightmare.
Forgive me, the most recent one that we saw, was it the Raiders of Southwest that kind of had that same setup a couple years ago, that they won D5 and then they made it kind of decently far in the state playoffs too.
And then they made it to D4 the next year.
And then they had a big guy. He was visibly seen as their like, oh, that's their dude, but it was really about the pieces moving around him.
Yeah, he had 3 really good guards, and then you had Diego Edwards, and
So a little bit of high-tech, high Chula Vista channeling the Southwest Raiders of 2018, which is oh God, I'm turning into Adam Paul with my references there. But, we'll see how before I get canceled, or not canceled, but just before I deemed the old man screaming on people's lawn. Let's close it out with Valley Center and Liberty Charter. You guffawed, I believe is the proper at Rock being the de facto runaway because you like Valley Center. What do you like about Valley Center?
I like that Valley Center has been they were in the championship game of this bracket last year. Didn't graduate in many pieces. They have a coach who has a winning pedigree at different locations. He built Crawford. He was able to build Crawford to, a pretty serious contender back in the day. He did a good job setting the pieces at LCAP. And now Jeff Bickford's over at Valley Center doing his thing there. They've played a competitive schedule. They play in that Valley League, which, includes Mission Vista, San Pasqual, Fallbrook, all really talented teams up in the North County. And they competed well in that league. They are, I think the Rock will make it to the championship game, but I just think that this isn't like last year where St. Joseph's Academy had, 2 really talented guys who could go on to play college ball, and it overwhelmed Valley Center. I think it's the flip this year.
Okay. I like it. And if nothing else, I like Coach Bickford making it to the playoffs without it being something where everybody's like, oh, that's such a good story. Like, oh, because every year with Crawford, he was like scraping together with no budget and minimal administration support and all that kind of stuff. And he was still getting it done, but also I feel like sometimes people were like, "Oh, that's cute." Like, "Oh, cool for you, Coach Bickford." Yeah. And now it's now it's his basketball acumen being regarded as the worthy thing, and that to me is a big thing for somebody like him who has contributed to a couple of different schools. His daughter was big at Christian. Like, he's a part of the community.
Yeah, and not to mention he was a big factor at Mission Bay for a year as an assistant coach there. He was an assistant at San Diego